What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another Bucks on Deck podcast episode. I'm Anthony Murphy. With me, as always, Nola Jeffy. Nola, what's going on, man?
Just another damn paradise, hoping for minimal background noise.
Yeah, that's always good. Well, it's the off season, and things are actually getting a little bit exciting. Maybe not exciting, but we could definitely feel the wheels starting to turn a little bit. We know who our free agents are. Everyone who's going to be a free agent became a free agent. Options are getting picked up and declined, and even some waiver moves being made. Episode's mainly going to be focused on maybe some of the stuff that's happened already. And then just basically some free agent talk. Keep it nice and quick today, maybe. But I guess first thing we'll start with is anytime we say we're going to keep it short, it usually ends up the opposite. So
famous last words. I learned that working in the industry I'm in.
First, we'll kind of kick things off with a interesting move the Pirates made on Monday. They claimed their second player off of waivers. Not going to spend time talking about the first one. Second one's a little more on the intriguing side, but they claimed Trey Cabbage off of waivers from the Houston Astros. Nola, any thoughts?
Not many. No.
Not many.
It's one of those is what it is moves. People shouldn't expect him to be a major contributor. So people probably shouldn't get too up in arms about it. It's, at this juncture, likely more of just a backfill than anything. A depth move for the minors. One small mention is I believe his first career home run came against the Pirates, so there's that.
Nice. This makes me think, and this can lead down like the rabbit hole that we don't want to lead to. I'm starting to wonder what analytics the Pirates look at, and if their analytic department is literally just this guy hit a lot of home runs, because that feels like, I mean, obviously that's kind of like that's the only thought I can see behind like the Brian De La Cruz trade is this guy hits home runs, because you've expressed it a lot on here and in like the group chat. Like there was like zero stuff, like zero. There was like nothing that kind of like said like, hey, this would be a good move, like offensively, defensively, except for like home runs. And Trey Cabbage, he hit 30 home runs last year in the minors. But like there's just swing and miss. There's a lot of swing and miss. I don't know. He's a guy that probably just like, it wouldn't surprise me if he just doesn't make it through the offseason. But then again, we also said that about like Ryan Valade a couple years ago, and like he hung around like the whole season, didn't he? At least in the organization.
I believe he made it through to the end of the season. But I guess to some degree, now that you mention that, at least to some degree, maybe it is relatively a sign of things shifting a bit. Almost, I mean, because they obviously have always had this penchant for light power and all contact type hitters. Whereas, I mean, De La Cruz is the polar opposite of that. I mean, granted, they did get IKF at the last deadline too, but, you know, Tristan Gray and Trey Cabbage are more of the all pop type of hitters.
Thumpers. Yep. Which, I mean, in the right situation, like, I mean, maybe you catch fire with one of them, and they can provide something there. I mean, there's the positions that they're more than likely going to be able to play, or that they can play. I mean, I'd say they're positions that need what Cabbage plays. He can play he plays like a corner, so you could stick him in right field. Gray, I saw he played like every single position, or in the infield. So I don't know. We'll see, but probably not spending too much time thinking about them. Like I said, they might not be guys who are even on the roster come spring training.
Yeah, I mean, at this juncture, I see it more as just replacements for Seth Beer and Jake Lamb more than anything.
Does I'd imagine not because he's like 27 or something like that. But does Cabbage have like any options left, or was he on waivers because that was the only way to move him around? I guess that doesn't matter too much in the offseason.
No, I mean, let's see real quick. Fangraph says 1, so I'm sure Ethan has it somewhere.
I'll have to ask him.
I don't have his stuff really available. He'll let us know.
Yeah, he'll let us know. But I mean, if he does have that option left, that's actually pretty useful there. They can always just start him in the minors or anything like that. I guess that depends on who else they bring in at that point. But interesting bat, like you said, I like it because it's not people who are gonna bat 200, but then like not hit for power at all. These guys are hitting low 200s, but at least they're providing some pop, even if it is just like AAA power or something like that.
Yeah, and I think I've said it on Twitter. I've said it, we've said it in our group chat numerous times, and I think I even said it in the and it's not Discord, where it's just like I keep saying, people need to realize that they have to field multiple affiliates. So they need bodies for Indy, they need bodies for Altoona. So they're going to be acquiring players throughout the offseason that you're going to get the buy your World Series tickets type of comments, and it's just they're not needle movers. It's warm bodies to a degree, and you hope for more.
Was it the domestic reserve limits up to like 175 during the offseason? They're probably going to make sure that they have 175 bodies right up to when they have to cut it down. So they're going to be additions. They're going to be adding people. There's going to be people in it shuffling in and out. I guess just try not to get too hung up on anyone. If the numbers look like that, or if he seems like a minor league filler, then he's probably just a minor league filler. And just
that's it. I'm not going to get up in arms until, I don't know, post-winter meetings if there's very minimal chitter-chatter, or, I don't know, closer to like Christmas time if they've done nothing or their biggest acquisitions, Anthony Rizzo on a $5 million deal, then I'll start getting upset.
Yeah, that'd be upsetting. But speaking of free agents, we anyone who is eligible for free agency has become free agents. Options are being accepted, denied, everything like that. We have a good idea who's available. Qualifying offers when I think the deadline was it today, or was that like yesterday? It's happened, so we know who all got qualifying offers and who didn't. Ethan's gonna hate us if he listens to this because we just talked about all this stuff.
Yeah.
But so now that we kind of see what's out there, or I guess before we really look at what's out there, maybe like one last look internally as we get ready to head to free agency. What are some of the areas of interest that you really want the Pirates to focus on?
Shortstop and outfield. Those are the two main I hope they zone in on.
Is that take into account? I guess for me too, like a big thing that plays into what they're chasing this offseason is, and I know this is, I think we are all probably reading more into the whole Reynolds to first base than like probably like the team is at this point. But is like your focus on like outfield driven by like the thought of maybe moving him to first, or is it like regardless of what they do with him, like outfield is still like one of your primary areas of focus?
Well, I mean, I get that. That's the I don't know if saying the chicken and egg question is the proper way to put it, but I believe it should happen is how I'm looking at it. Whether they will or won't is you never know with them, but I believe it should. I believe it's best for the team to get him over to first base, get him working with the first base glove all off season and just have him as a first base from the jump because you solidify first base pretty much already. I know I saw someone mention somewhere, he's a switch hitter, so you don't need to worry about a platoon.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned it to one of our readers, Nick Ross, that I would much prefer having Reynolds settled in at first base so you have more of a assured first base profiled bat. And then I would feel more comfortable focusing on a defensively competent outfielder who may or may not pop offensively or not.
Yeah. I think that the strength of the team is clearly starting pitching. And I think the continued focus on what at times feels like an attempt to field like the worst defensive outfield in baseball
It's bad.
can only at some point catch up to them. Like it may not be anything like obvious, but like over a course of a full season, like those little added extra runs like build up and it causes the pitchers to work more and then they throw more innings and that increases injury risk and all that kind of stuff. So
and even just thinking on, real quick, just thinking on the fact that one of the things people always reiterate with they're like, just move Reynolds to right field and it'll hide his inefficiencies better at PNC Park. And it's like, well, you have to realize there's still 81 games not at PNC Park. So
yeah. So I think for me, which that's a good point. Like that only helps cover like so much. And like eventually even just like the half of the games that he's playing on the road that could still build up in time. So that's why I feel like solidifying the outfield is probably the thing that I want to do first, or is like my primary area of focus. And like, yes, I want to get some added hitters in the lineup, but like I want some guys that can actually play defense out there. Like I want to play into my strength, play into my strength, make your strength even better. And just imagine like a Paul Skeens that's still fresh because he has a defense out there that makes all the plays that they're supposed to, and then a couple extra ones that aren't supposed to be made. He's gonna be fresher, he's throwing less pitches, he's gonna be healthier late in the season, that kind of stuff. So
yeah, and I mean, I don't want to single him out as someone I think would have been, another worldly better had things gone better with the outfield, but it's just one moment that just sticks specifically in my head. But like, I still remember that one appearance by Dalton Jeffries where I think he gave up 4 or 5 earned runs across 2 innings or something.
Mm-hmm.
And there was 2 successive plays where there was a fly ball to Olivares that he misplayed and turned into a double. And then there was a single to him where, I mean, the runner should have been out by 10 feet at home, but he misfires the ball and it's a scored run. But neither play was considered an error, and then the inning just kept going on. And it's like he probably would have had a 2-3 inning scoreless appearance potentially that turned into 4 earned runs across 2 innings. But that also would happen to, Keller, Jones, Skeens, to where, it would, even if they're struggling, like an outfielder makes a diving play, like some of the plays Cook made in the outfield, or there was that one ball that everyone thought Triolo trapped in right field.
Yeah,
that like those, it hypes your team, it gets them out of the inning. saves your pitchers, I would prefer that.
Yeah.
Then,
Yeah.
hey, maybe this guy's bat will make up for his defensive shortcomings. And it doesn't.
And it never feels like it does. So I think outfield for me, I think I would love a shortstop because I'm not sure how I feel about IKF going into the year as the shortstop. But also, I probably realize with how the Pirates are constructed that unless he's traded, he's probably heading into the year as the starting shortstop. As long as he's on the roster, their priority shortstop is going to be probably pretty far down on the priority list, unless some like a deal comes along that they just can't resist. I don't think they're going to aggressively go after any shortstop at this point, as long as IKF is on the roster.
Especially not the premier ones. Not, I'd love Kim, but I don't know. I don't see it happening.
I would be worried solely because of this him having shoulder surgery. If how's that arm going to be when he comes back? If especially since so much of his value has always been tied into defense. If he comes back and all of a sudden he can't handle the position, you had opportunity just then, what does he just become like an IKF then? And then it would have been cheaper just to keep him then as opposed to
sign and IKF aside, we have 3 IKFs, we have 3 Triolos, we have 3 Hayes, essentially. At this juncture, all 3 are really relatively all the same, just different price points.
So, before I get to I have a question. With this is this has been an interesting thought process with me. The Pirates have, technically speaking, 4 catchers on the 40-man roster? Technically.
Is it?
Bart, DeLay, Davis, and Endy.
Okay. DeLay's still on there? It probably is.
He's still on there. He still has options.
Yeah.
That being said, if you find the right kind, you kind of mentioned someone too, and I guess maybe this can kind of segue into looking at some of the players available kind of thing. How far up is the catcher position? Knowing the struggles that Henry Davis has had, knowing maybe the uncertainty of Endy Rodriguez, knowing maybe that Jason DeLay is just kind of at best a backup. Are you looking at catcher at all this offseason? Like a free agent?
I mean, not a premier one, but I think it'd be worthwhile to seek one, just in part. I mean, I like where Bart was. I like the advancements he made. He's not the best defensive catcher. If you're banking a lot on the bat, being similar to last year, and then on top of, again, he's not the best defensive catcher, and then who knows what you're getting from Davis again? Who knows where Endy's going to be after all this time off? Is his batted ball data going to be similar to 2023, which honestly wasn't that promising at times?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he did look like he thickened up a bit, so maybe there's some more thump. And even then, are we even sure he's going to stick at catcher? So, I don't know.
It's on paper, it probably, next to starting pitching, on paper, it probably should be their next strongest position. But I think you can unravel that pretty quickly, from top to bottom there.
Yeah. But I guess, with regards to everything else that needs to be taken care of, I think it's probably one of the last ones you really need to shore up.
Yeah.
Similar to second base, which I guess we'll even kind of get into more a little bit with regards to trade rumors, a lot of the names that they're mentioning that they see the Pirates looking into, which makes the list kind of weird. But I wouldn't necessarily. I would say Nick Gonzalez has second base, but I wouldn't necessarily say second base is an assured. What's I wouldn't say second base is entirely spoken for. I don't know if that's what I'm looking for,
Yeah.
but
I don't think there's anyone going to be penciled in at second base going into camp next year. I thought Nick Gonzalez showed some improvements, but like ultimately I think he was pretty much the same kind of hitter that like I kind of expected. Maybe with less strikeouts. He still gets a lot less breaking balls than I feel like he should. I don't see why he's just not seeing nothing but those.
Well, I mean, the defense was a lot better than originally expected, but I think at this juncture, second base is probably Gonzalez's to lose. So again, catcher, second base at this juncture, I would just say Bart Gonzalez and just fill out the other massive, much more needed holes.
Yeah. Which I guess now we can kind of shift into maybe some like we both were kind of glancing through the list of like free agents and stuff like that. And I mean, I'll be the first to say that I don't know how many of these names that I actually like or that I actually feel like. I mean, there are obviously some good names on here, but like you look at them and they kind of just say like, well, the Pirates aren't signing this guy. And then by the time you get like a couple names down, it just kind of like the drop off is like pretty significant. Like obviously we could probably throw out anyone that got a qualifying offer. I don't think the Pirates are going to go anywhere near there. And then you're probably not looking at like the top name or two off of each position after that.
What's what I pulled that up, and that's why it's like Santander, Teoscar Hernandez, Christian Walker. You can cross them off your list.
Yeah, they got qualifying offers. Like Ethan put it good in like our last episode that like if there was a year to do it, this would probably be the year. But I'd probably still not happening kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Yeah. So outside of the qualifying offer guys and maybe more what you think in the realm of possibility, who are a couple guys that you feel like you're that kind of like jumping out to you?
Well, I'll throw out three here. I kind of was intrigued by. In terms of outfield, Max Kepler, I think would be an interesting one to look into. Had a bit of a down year. But he's got some track record to him of, providing at least league average offense. I mean, he's been pretty consistent over his career. So I think he would be an interesting target. He's popped over 20 home runs twice, finished at 19 twice. So I think he'd be an interesting target. In terms of infield, and who knows, maybe you can even throw him in the outfield. But a name I've mentioned, I think to y'all as well as to a couple other places. I think in the comments today, Yoan Moncada. I mean, he's had injury issues. When he's been good and healthy, he's been good. Mm-hmm. So I think he'd be a potentially interesting buy low guy.
That would be interesting.
Pitcher, because in part, I mean, always need pitching, and I think they should trade some of their pitching depth for players, whether it be high quality upper level bats, or whether it be MLB actual players. I'd be interested in looking into Spencer Turnbull. He was someone that always intrigued me while he was with the Tigers. Which I hadn't looked. I was like, I wonder if he got injured again. But Turnbull would be someone I think would be interesting.
No, yeah, the numbers look there. I think for me too, like adding another thing, kind of looking for. I think the first thing that stood out to me when you looked at the list of players that became free agents, especially for the Pirates, 3 of the 5 left-handed pitching. So I think you're probably going to want to get like a couple arms there. I don't know how many of them are going to. I don't know if they're going to do like another Aroldis Chapman kind of deal. With how the bullpen was, you kind of feel like maybe they should, with how they did.
Which you actually made me remember the other one I was going to bring up too.
Who is it?
I'm going to butcher this because I have yet to hear the name and I didn't look up the pronunciation. But the left-hander out of Japan, Shinosuke Agasawara. I'm going to have to look up that name. But he's relatively similar in build and stuff. I haven't looked that in depth into this stuff, but just a cursory overall to Shota Imanaga, and I guess we could say that it was reported that they were very interested in Imanaga, so maybe they look into this guy. So
yeah,
left-hander.
They need left-handers, and there are some signing relievers that I feel like are tricky because like as we saw this year, like you kind of it's very unpredictable, and like even like the most consistent of like bullpen guys, they can have like down years and stuff like that, and it doesn't take much for it to be like a down year for relievers. And I don't know if they're gonna bring Chapman back. I don't know if he's going to be in their range. He might. There's a good chance that he probably earned himself into like a nice little pay raise at this point, or like a multi-year deal. As he's getting up there in age. But if you're trying to buy low on some lefties that have like somewhat of a track record, I know Drew Smiley's a free agent. AJ Minter's a free agent. Pirates love their soft tossing lefties. And was it Ryan Yarbrough pitched for the Dodgers this past year? Almost had 100 innings. He's as about soft tossing lefty as it comes. So I mean, those are just a couple guys on here. One name too, who I guess kind of fits in the David Bednar role, and I think this would kind of be interesting as like all-star closer who kind of had a rough year, who lost the closer job, but Paul Sewald, he's a free agent. He's kind of like the guy that analytics and pitch shape and you talk about that kind of stuff that the Pirates like, and that's big in baseball right now. He's kind of was like the forerunner when it came to like vertical approach angle and release point and all that kind of stuff. Could be like a bounce back kind of guy. Maybe he come in 1-year deal. You could have him and Bednar maybe kind of go back and forth, do a committee thing until one set, kind of set some stuff up. I don't know. They probably next to the outfield, I feel like filling up the bullpen is going to be a pretty big thing. And I think they're going to want to get as many arms as possible going into camp. And I don't know. I think of what kind of fits what the Pirates need based off what's available. This can kind of be the area to where they can kind of get interesting with.
Yeah, and even just looking at that, Jose Leclerc was another interesting guy that was back end.
Wasn't he? I don't know. Someone brought him up on Twitter today. I don't know if it was because it was on the MLB trade rumor thing, or if they're just like mentioning his name in general.
Yeah, I saw someone bring him up. I don't remember where. It might have been even been the NSN Discord.
Okay. Yeah, so he'd be someone interesting too. I just feel like they need relievers. I think for me, the best course of go. I just don't like everyone wants to sign. Everyone wants to sign like the big free agent and do that kind of, spend money, spend. I just don't know if that kind of player is available in this free agency. That's kind of there has to be like a person there. I feel like you can say you're going to spend money, but I don't want to just spend money to spend money because I
Yeah,
don't
that's
think that
why
always
like
works.
yeah, kind of like one of the names I saw in the MLB trade rumors that they had mentioned the Pirates might be in on David Robertson. I was like, and they were like, yeah, he was better than people expected for being 40-year-old. I'm like, yeah, which I guess Chapman's up there too, but I don't know if I want to go giving David Robertson $10 million a year. I think they had him projected at 10, 11. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yes.
I think one of the things that made like Aroldis Chapman like so worth the contract and stuff like that is like the proven durability that he's shown over his career. What is it that like BA article had during the year that like what is it like 15 year, however long he's pitched in the majors and he's thrown 100 miles at least every year. So like it's like the longest
As
record
a lefty.
as a lefty. So like for him to do what he's done, like that alone, and we saw it this year with like how Bednar kind of fell off and like the bullpen struggles. Durability and reliability will get you paid, and I think I would if I'm going to spend that kind of money on a reliever, I'm probably offering that to Chapman to come back. At that point, I think I'd rather have him come back.
I'd be okay with it, and who knows? If it seemed he liked it in Pittsburgh, so maybe he would give a bit of a deal.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice. Um, I know one guy I wanted to mention here because I know he's probably the name that gets brought up the most is Tyler O'Neill, and I think is he one of the guys that MLB trade rumors had
Well, I
as
guess
like
yeah.
big.
If you want me to run through the names real quick,
Yeah, go ahead and run through the names real quick.
I think 2 writers predicted Tyler O'Neill to the Pirates. One writer predicted Michael Conforto. Then the names mentioned that were had the Pirates mentioned as potentially inquiring about were Jerkson Profar, Gleyber Torres, Jock Peterson, Kim, David Robertson, and Harrison Bader.
Okay, so Kim, I'm gonna throw out there because he's probably he's the second shortstop there, and I don't see them spending that kind of money on a shortstop right now, at least until IKF is off the roster. If they were to trade IKF tomorrow, then I'd be like, okay, well, this Kim thing may happen. Who else was on there that I wanted to bring up? The Tyler O'Neill thing. The Pirates aren't going to. I don't feel like the Pirates are going to stay in competition for a guy who hit 31 home runs last year. Home runs cost money, and I feel like someone's going to overpay for the 31 home runs that he hit last year.
Well, he'll end up getting a Teoscar Hernandez type deal where, the market doesn't unfold the way they thought. And come February, he just signs a 1-year, $25 million deal with somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. Who else was on there? Who else on? Go through that one more time.
What's that? So Tyler O'Neill and Conforto makes sense. Outfielders.
Okay, yeah.
Jerks and Profar played a lot of outfield, so kind of makes sense. Gleyber Torres, and they mentioned him as a second baseman, which, as we were just kind of discussing, I couldn't.
I can't see a second baseman.
I wouldn't see them putting big money into second base.
Yeah,
with all the options they have.
But we know that they love their second baseman. So
yeah. And then obviously Jock Peterson, and mostly because he just crushes righties, but that would
if they try to platoon their designated hitter position, I will lose my mind.
That would be kind of funny, but yeah, I mean that would go kind of against all that of like get a hitter and terrible defender, because obviously we're presuming Kutch is getting signed, so DH is taken.
I would
And I
imagine.
do not want to sign a black hole defender.
Yeah, yeah, no, I do not either. I don't want to trade for one either. And that's hinting at another person that everyone loves to talk about.
Yeah.
Shout out to Andrew Destin for kind of squashing that on the point on NS9 the other day. The whole
I'm burnt out from Brent Rooker
yeah
dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah, so the way that I see it right now is they have a good opportunity to make a trade. The best way to probably work this offseason, at least looking at it the way I look at it, make a trade, make 2 trades to bring in some hitters, whether it be in like a kind of like a Billy Cook / Nick York kind of trade where 2 prospect for prospect kind of thing, trade a couple prospects for like an established, however you want to do it. That's fine. I think the best way you're going to bring offense to this organization this offseason is to trade, not through free agency. I just don't see a real fit through any of the hitters there. I mean, maybe they do want to, if they just go big on Tyler O'Neill and they can grab him, cool. There's some concerns with it, but like if they go broke on someone, I mean, that'd be cool to see. It's historically not likely. And then take that money and like invest it into like fortify either the rotate, like you brought up, like the rotation, because since you're likely maybe trading a starting pitcher anyways, maybe bring in a veteran guy anyways to kind of fill out the back of the rotation until like Bubba and whatnot is ready. And then relievers, a bunch of relievers. They can't let the kind of wins that they let slip through their fingers last year slip through this year.
Yeah, and that's it. So I guess, yeah, if it were up to me, I would probably get a quality outfielder, a quality shortstop, one way or another. Mm-hmm. And I would just run with an outfield of whatever acquired outfielder, Cruz, and Cook. I would give Cook at least, some leash to try and hit. I mean, there was some promising numbers, but most importantly, the dude was a defensive stud. Yeah. So you got that to hang your head on. At least give the bat some leash. You can option them or 4th outfielder, worst case, if it comes to it. And then obviously, yeah, short. I would love a shortstop, preferably. Well, I guess not preferably, but I feel they could leverage into hope maybe getting one of a topper, not a top, but one of the upper tiered shortstops prospects.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, look, it kind of just comes down to the fact that, like, I think what it comes down to is what you're going to be able to get in trades at this point will really shape this offseason more than what you're going to be able to probably do in free agency out there. And because like we see it all the time, maybe not with the upper guys, because we saw like the Blake Snell and the Jordan Montgomery thing kind of unfold, but there's always going to be a team that kind of like we can make these projections on what we think the players are going to make and stuff like that, but I always feel like you generally have to add a couple to that, because when other teams start to get involved and they start bidding over top of each other, it always goes over what's expected. And I think for a couple of these names, it's going to quickly get out of the price range for what the Pirates are going to be able to do.
Tom, I'm ready to ooh and ah over some trades and free agent signings.
Yeah.
People need to start making moves.
Yeah.
Now.
More moves.
Now.
Was there anyone else that you wanted to bring up, or anything else that you had with the? No.
I don't think I had anything pressing. No.
Yeah, I think I guess my last thing was, and I guess I kind of already said my last thing is based off the history, based off the market, based off of everything we've seen so far. some of the stuff that I think some Pirates fans have put out there, I think maybe be prepared to be disappointed. But at least when it comes to free agency. But let's let the whole offseason kind of play out to see what they're able to do. Let's let some of these names get off the board first and see what they could work after that. Let's let some of these names get off the board first, so then that opens up some trade opportunities with the teams who missed out on those players. Because like I said, people are going to be bidding. There's going to be a couple teams that miss out on Tyler O'Neill and all these outfielders, or they're even going to miss out on all these pitchers. Hey, yeah, by the way, we have a bunch of these pitchers that we can trade you. Let's work something out. So let's make a chart go through, and then we can start kind of getting.
I'm ready for a splash.
Yeah.
I think.
Juju's ready for some excitement.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for a big splash. It's going to be either they're going to acquire Freeland, Muncy, or Lawler. Yeah. Personally, I think I really like the Montgomery coming with Lawler, and then Oscar Marine figuring something out with Montgomery, and he turns back into the 3-WAR pitcher.
What is it? I don't know who.
That's the Patrick World Series.
I don't know who said this on Twitter or something like that, but I saw someone say that, because like was it the Diamondbacks owner made that comment about maybe like regretting doing the Montgomery contract, and I saw someone say on Twitter like Montgomery should definitely like opt into the contract and then just like play hurt all year just to like rake in, like just cash in because the owner said that.
Yeah, whoever it was, I don't know if it was Hazen or whoever, but yeah, dude, they were straight up pretty brutal about it. But like, I shouldn't have made that deal. And then it was like a day later, Montgomery accepts. Which, why wouldn't he?
Yeah. Like I would opt in and be like, "Oh dang, I'm hurt all year," and just like cash in. But I think that's pretty much everything free agent wise that we had. Nola, you got any Nola knowledge for us before we start wrapping things up?
Nothing particular. I think this is another one of those moments where I was like, I have something great that I thought of earlier, and then I forgot because I didn't write it down.
That's fair.
Nope.
Okay.
I'm looking at the notes I did have, and nope.
No, Nola knowledge. Jeez.
Nola knowledge. Go vote.
Go vote.
Yeah, my Nola knowledge.
All right. Well, that's pretty much going to do it for the show today. Nola, where can they reach you on social media?
At Nola Jeffy, NOLAJEFFY. I guess in terms of we were talking about working on things, nothing pressing at the moment. Other than just being hyped for my boy for, something eventually.
Yeah. Won't share the deets just yet, but got some exciting news coming within the next week or so. Looking forward to sharing that with everyone. Looking forward to it. But as always, you can follow me on Twitter at @double_Murphy88. Subscribe to Bucks on Deck Substack. We offseason still going strong. Ethan just had that article kind of laying out the offseason calendar. We've been doing we wrap up the scouting the system where we kind of break down do like the best tools. That'll be up the day that this episode's drop. You go back and read I think I'll do like an article to kind of combine everything together. I love doing that series just because it kind of shows like how much we follow the system. So we kind of get to break down everything. So
we got a lot of names that have been getting listed.
Yep. So a lot of time goes into that, and that's kind of just like an overlook of like everything we watched over the season. I'll have a paid article out later this week. I was sick over the weekend, so didn't get too much of that kind of stuff done. So I'll have a paid feature later on this week, and yeah, that's going to do it. Thanks for tuning in, and catch you guys next week.
Deuces.
Big box.